Hello participants, how are you doing? I hope that you are enjoying the video lessons. I hope that by this time you have developed some concept related to learning, online learning, e-learning and instructional design and so on. I also hope that you have developed the concept and at the same time you are trying to implement those concepts. Friends, in this particular session I am going to discuss about collaborative learning. In this particular learning, what I am going to discuss, I will tell you through the structure. This is a lesson structure. I am going to tell you the learning outcome first, and then I will guide you how to attend this particular session, and then I will discuss what is collaborative learning. I will discuss important assumptions about learning and the collaborative learning process. I will also discuss collaborative learning approaches. I will discuss collaborative learning in an online classroom and then instructional strategies. At the end, I will sum up. Friends, after going through this video lesson, what you are going to gain? You will be able to discuss the concept of collaborative learning. You will be able to highlight the important assumptions about the learners and collaborative learning process. You will be able to discuss the collaborative learning approaches and describe a variety of instructional strategies to improve the quality of a group collaboration. Now, how to attend this particular video lesson? While presenting the topics, I will explain the concept. At the same time, you will attend to my voice and the slides as well, because slides is also very important. You will find some important words, sentences have been highlighted for retention. I have put some questions in between my presentations. You must attempt to answer those questions at the end of the video lesson. I have also put summary at the end of the lessons for your better retention. Now let us go to the content part. Now what is collaborative learning? I know that definitely you are clear about the meaning collaboration. Now here collaborative learning, I am giving you one concept given by Smith and McGregor. Collaborative learning actually is an umbrella term. It is used for a variety of educational approaches. Now, I will discuss the educational approaches in detail after some time. Say for example, there are cooperative learning, there are problem based learning, there may be simulations, there may be discussions, there may be seminar. So, all these educational approaches can come under the umbrella term collaborative learning. Here, the learners work in groups. In two or more learners can work in a group and they mutually search for solutions of a problem or they can try to create a product. So, this is in general called collaborative learning. Collaborative learning, definitely it is different from typical teacher centered approach. That is what you are aware about, that face to face classroom situations. In the face to face classroom situations, what are the main features you have seen? That is the lecturing. The teacher delivers a lecture, the students listen to the lecture and they take note. So, these are the strategies mainly are followed, and there is interaction also, and feedback is given by the instructor. Here all these lecturing, listening, note taking strategies are there. It is not that in collaborative learning everything is absent, it is there. However, the main task is discussion and active work. That is the main thing. In a classroom situation, there may not be full length discussion, there may not be students may not be actively engaged in different kinds of activities, or maybe, but in collaborative learning these are must. That is why discussion part and active work with the course material, these two are very important part in collaborative learning. Now the teachers who use collaborative learning approaches, they are not called expert transmitter of knowledge to the learners, which is happened in classroom situation. The teacher, they transmit the knowledge to the students, but here that is why they are called experts, are called transmitter of knowledge. But here they are more expert designers of intellectual experiences for learners. The teachers are designers and they develop the course material such a way that they can work as a designer. Now at this point I will ask you, on the basis of your previous experiences, and knowledge what you have, and just within few minutes what I have discussed, how collaborative learning is different from teacher-centered approach. You can answer this one, keep in mind answer this one at the end of the video lesson. Now friends, come to important assumptions about learning and the collaborative learning process. You may recall the video lesson on understanding learning and instructions where I discussed about this particular point when I discussed about the nature of learning, where I mentioned learning is an active process. It is a constructive process also. So if you can remember, you can go through the video lessons and then it will be clear to you. Then again here also I am going to clarify this aspect. To learn a new concept or develop ideas or develop skills, learners have to work actively in purposeful ways. The learner need to integrate new material with what they already know. Say for example, you have a concept, now you want to develop a new concept, maybe on the basis of that concept, maybe a completely new concept or related concepts, you want to develop skills, so definitely you will have to work actively and your work will be purposeful. So you need to integrate, what you need to integrate? Your previous experience with the new experience or the new material or the new knowledge what you are gaining at this moment. So you will have to integrate these two, so old and the new. Now collaborative learning situations, you will not simply take new information or ideas, you will have to create something new with the information and ideas. You will have to create something new. So creation is a very important part in collaborative learning. When you are working together in a collaborative learning situations, you keep in mind that you will have to create something. Next is learning depends on rich context. Collaborative learning activities, they immerse in challenging tasks or questions. Generally, it starts with a problem solving situations, frequently begin with a problem solving situations. So there is a problem and the learners, the collaborative situations, they will have to find out the solutions of that particular problem. So for that, what is needed? Definitely the facts, pertinent facts, the ideas and the concept related to the concept, that has to be cleared first. Because if you want to find out the solutions of a problem, if you do not know the facts behind, if you do not know what has happened earlier, if you are not associated with the concept and ideas, so you won't be able to find a solution. So collaborative learning activities, that's why begins with the problem and you must marshal pertinent facts and ideas. That is very important. You know, the learners are diverse. If you think about these situations, ODL situations, online situations, or in e-learning cases, you will find that the learners coming from different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, they have different learning styles. You must have gone through video lesson on learning styles. You must have had some idea about learning styles. You must have learned that people have different learning styles. Say for example, some people have dependent learning style, some have independent learning style. We are discussing here collaborative learning, so some people may have collaborative learning style. Some people may be auditory learners, some may be visual learners. They have different experiences and they have aspirations. So when some people work together in a group situations, definitely they are bringing all kinds of backgrounds, different types of learning styles, experiences and aspirations into that particular group. So this is a very interesting situation. It is not an individual or one situation, it is a different situation. When a person learns in it independently, that situation is completely different from collaborative learning situation. You know that one size doesn't fit all. So you'll have to keep in mind. So when learners work together, you get an immediate sense of how they are learning and what experiences and ideas they bring to their work. That is very important. You can look up that. As an instructor, if you are an instructor in a collaborative learning situations, you'll have to keep in mind that different background, different learning styles, experiences, and how the people from different background with different learning styles are contributing to that particular situation that is solving the problem. Next is learning is inherently social. You can remember that while discussing about the learning, I discussed that cognitive and social aspect of learning also. Collaborative learning produces intellectual synergy of many minds because many people are working together. So their mutual exploration, meaning making and feedback, they sometimes, even I'll say that most of the times, they leads to better understanding on the part of the learners, because they are working together, many minds are working together, many people are exploring the situations. So creation of new understanding for all of us is very important in collaborative learning. Independent learning is different, as I told. Here, creation of new learning, new understanding on the basis of the backgrounds, learning styles and their mutual explorations, everything is important. So what is happening here? Learning, we can say learning is social. Now coming to collaborative learning approaches. As I told in my first slide that collaborative learning, when I am discussing about the concept of collaborative learning, it is an umbrella term and number of approaches you can discuss under collaborative learning. So first one, let us take cooperative learning. Sometimes people say cooperative learning and collaborative learning are same, but it is not. There is a difference. Cooperative learning describes a method where learners work together in small groups on a structured activity. Yes, collaborative learning also, the learner works together, but what is the difference? Here, learner individually become accountable for their work. At the same time, the work of the group also as a whole will be assessed. So learner, individual outcome, individual performance, at the same time the performance of the whole group, that will be assessed. So this is one way different from collaborative work. Cooperative learning, the development of interpersonal skills is very important. Some of the skills, interpersonal skills, say for example verbal and non-verbal communication. When you are working in a cooperative situations, 2 or 3 people are communicating, so verbal and non-verbal communication, these skills can be developed easily. Then listening skills is very important. Many cases we have observed, you also have observed that many people, they don't have listening skills. They only go on talking and talking, they don't listen to others. So listening skills is very important. If you want to work in a collaborative situations, you will have to listen to others and you will have to develop the listening skills. Negotiation skill is very important, and decision making. This is another interpersonal skills. Decision making needs some skills. So these kind of skills can be developed in cooperative learning situation. It is as important, these are all important as we are talking about the learning at the same time the skill development. The development of social skills in a group is also important. How it happens? The learning to cooperate. In a cooperative learning, cooperation is very important. If there are 3 members in a group or 4 members, 1 person or 2 member doesn't cooperate, definitely you can't proceed. So cooperation, they have to learn how to cooperate, and this thing is very much needed, and in many cases you have seen probably that this cooperation from other colleagues and other people sometimes not coming properly. So it is very important this to be developed. So many cooperative learning tasks are put to learners with both academic objectives and social objectives, social skills objectives. So through this cooperative learning, you can fix the academic objectives in mind and at the same time social skills objectives. Many of the strategies involve assigning roles with a small group. What are the roles you can assign in cooperative learning? You can assign, say for example, you can say one person that you will be the recorder. What will be discussed, you will keep a record. Another person may be encourager. You say that you encourage others people to talk. Another person, you may say that you summarize that whole discussion. So in this way you can distribute the responsibility, the strategy you can follow. So it will help the positive interdependence of group participants that you can ensure through these strategies. Then problem centered instructions. If you attend my lecture on scenario based learning, there you will see that I have discussed about these problem centered instructions, because problem centered approach is very much related there to scenario based learning. Now here I have talked about one situation, that is guided design. Guided design is one most carefully structured approaches to problem centered instructions. In this approach, learners work in a small group. They are asked to practice decision making in sequence tasks. There will be tasks in stages. The tasks will be presented in stages 1, 2, 3, 4, and every stage they will discuss, they will come to a solution, and then feedback will be provided to them in every step. Then come to another one, that is simulations. You may be aware about this term simulations. It is a very complex and structured role playing situations. The simulation, actually real experiences you can bring into through simulations. Here the participants can play the role of opposing stakeholders in a problematic situations. Then discussion groups and seminars, this is a very common thing. Discussion group and seminar refer to a broad array of teaching approach. Discussion as processes, both formal discussions and informal discussions. You can encourage learner dialogue with teachers and with each other. That is important. The dialogue is very important between learners and at the same time learner and teachers. Here another self-assessment questions. Which approach of collaborative learning do you prefer more? What I have discussed and why? Then come to collaborative learning in an online classroom. In an online classroom, you can take the form of discussion among the whole class, or we can go for a small groups. Online courses offer the opportunity to create a highly social learning environment. Yes, highly social learning environment you can create through online, because this is characterized by participation and interactivity. If you can induce this interactivity and greater participation by the learners, then definitely it will bring a social learning environment. So specific pedagogical benefits of the collaborative learning include development of critical thinking skills, co-creation of knowledge, reflection and transformative learning. Now critical thinking development is very important, and creation of knowledge we are not talking about, we are talking about co-creation of knowledge. Knowledge is there, so there is another creation through discussions. And reflection is very important. The people have to reflect what was their knowledge before, what they have learned, and the way, whether they have done any mistake and what are the mistakes they have done and how they have rectified their mistake. All these things can be reflected upon. Transformative learning, this may be psychological, may be convictional, may be behavioral. Now different learning styles, as I mentioned, and cultures can be accommodated more easily through collaborative learning strategies, because effective collaborative learning values diversity. This is very important. Collaborative learning values diversity. That means you can include people from diverse, you can include all. There is no restrictions, no age bar, no culture, no religion bar, no experience bar. Anybody can be included. Now skills gained from the experience of collaborative learning are highly transferable to team-based work environment, because when people are working in a collaborative learning situations, so the skill can be transferred easily to other participants. Learner-learner interactions is very important. Here communication is one, so people talking and discussing. There are 4 stages of continuum as per Siemens. Communication 1, they are talking and discussing, so 1 stage. Second is collaboration as a whole, sharing ideas and working together, occasionally sharing resources also. Then cooperation, we have discussed, people doing things together but each with his or own purpose, and community, people striving for a common purpose. Then coming to instructional strategies. You may incorporate a variety of instructional strategies to improve the quality of group collaboration and to increase the likelihood of learner participation. Brindley, Walty and Black 2009 they told, and I am giving you their this suggestion, what they have suggested, and some points I have taken here for discussions for improvement of quality of group collaboration. Number 1 is that facilitate learner readiness. Learner readiness is very important in online learning situations. If the learner is not ready, then you cannot start. For group work, because many people may not like to work in a group, and provide scaffolding to build skills. That is also important. Scaffolding is important in preparing learners for small group projects. Say, in ODL system, you have observed that we develop the course materials step by step. There is unit 1, unit 2, unit 3 in this way. So the activities in different units are built on the course built on previously learned skills. The way the units are designed, here also you can design in collaborative learning. When you design the instructional design you use, then sequence the activities within the course that build on previously learned skills. That means when the learner will learn one skill, then in the next step he will learn a higher skills, then next another higher skill. In this way he can build on. Learners need to be taught the necessary skills for effective online collaboration, because that is very important, because in group environment, if you have to succeed, then you will have to help the learner to develop skills, because if one learner can't develop that skill, see, he or she cannot collaborate. So that is very important. So you'll have to teach them necessary skills for effective online collaboration, particularly those skills that will help them succeed in a group environment, because it is a group, the group is working. So you will have to keep in mind that you will have to develop skills individually also. Learners often need help with acquiring information literacy skills. Say, how to retrieve, how to evaluate, how to apply, how to source information effectively. These are some of the skills in online situations the learner will need. And using technology effectively is also very important. Whenever you take a group of learner, you help them how they can use technology effectively. Establish a healthy balance between structure. Structure means the task clarity and learner autonomy, flexibility of task. This autonomy is very important. You may provide guidelines for team member performance in conducting the group project. Say, for example, you have taken a project. Now, you will have to provide guidelines, because it is a group project, team member how to perform the project, how to perform in every aspect of the project. You ensure that the task is achievable, sustainable, and properly timed within the course. These three are very important. You will have to go for the objective, learning objective which is achievable. If you give an objective which is not achievable within a particular time periods, then it will not work, and it should be sustainable also and properly timed within the course. So course time limit is there, so you will have to put activities so that the learners in a group can complete the course in time. Say, allowing learners to form their own groups, this is a flexibility, a freedom you are giving to the learners. They can form their own groups and they can select their own topics. That is also very important. Because you know that learners may be interested in forming group because there are likings, dislikings also. So they must be free from that point of view. And topics also, because some learners may feel that they are very comfortable with one topic. So there may be choices, different choices, and you may allow them to select the particular topic. It will facilitate socializing within groups and positive group dynamics, because if there is one or two group members with whom others don't want to communicate or cooperate or collaborate, then socializing the process will affect it. So when learners have personal control over the task, content, process, intentions, goal setting, consequences, outcomes, group partners, in every aspect, their engagement, their responsibility and sense of the relevance of the task will be heightened. You know, personal control you will have to give. That means the content and the process, intentions, the goal they will set the goal, what will be the consequence, what will be the outcome, and the group partner, everything. So you will have to keep so many things in mind. Then nurture the establishment of learning relationships, learner relation and sense of community. For true collaboration to occur, sense of community needs to be established within the group. Important elements for establishing successful community, learning community, Chapman et al. Has given a long list. You see, what are those? Informality, familiarity, honesty, openness, heart, passion, dialogue, rapport, empathy, trust, authenticity, disclosure, humor and diverse opinions. So many things to be included, because if you want to establish the learner relationship and sense of community. Monitor group activities actively and closely. During the collaborative process, the instructor needs to be available for feedback. If the instructor remains absent, it will not work. For feedback, general information and private counseling. Now, instructor needs to intervene as required to keep discussions on track, support and animate dynamic conversation. Instructors help learners study focused on the task, assist with relationship building and provide reassurance. Sometimes you will have to provide, because they may be frustrated in between, so you will have to provide reassurance. Now, make the group task relevant for the learner. Yes, researchers have found that more interested a learner in a group topic, the more motivated will be the learner. So, interest to be created. And allowing learners to pursue topics according to mutual interest sets groups up to share and co-create knowledge. Authentic real-world environments and relevant content These provide motivation for collaborative learning. Now choose the tasks that are best performed by a group. So you'll have to be very selective about the task. Engaging in tasks that benefit from teamwork will increase learners' sense of purposefulness and motivation to participate. So task selection is very important for a particular group. Then you provide sufficient time. This is also important. Course design should allow sufficient time for collaborative learning activities. In designing stage, when you design the plan, the course, you keep the time schedule, plan and organizing. Most importantly, time is required for discussion and exchange of ideas that are crucial to deeper learning. So this sufficient time, in many cases it has been seen that the collaborative learning, they don't become successful because time limit is very short, because the instructional designer, if they don't keep this in mind, then in future it may create problem because they won't be able to complete within time period. There is another self-assessment questions. Suggest some instructional strategies which can improve the quality of group collaboration. So this is one. If this is implementation one, if you select one or two strategies and discuss how it can improve the quality of group collaboration, you can mix your own knowledge and understanding and whatever you have learned. Now let us sum up. We have discussed about collaborative learning concept. We told that collaborative learning involves joint intellectual effort by learners or learners and teachers together. Not only learners and teachers together, they work. While working in a group, learners mutually search for solutions of a problem or create a product. These two things are important. You can remember we have discussed that they may mutually search for a solution of a problem or they create product. Collaborative learning covers a broad territory of approaches we have discussed. One, cooperative learning I have discussed in detail. I have discussed problem centered instructions. I have discussed simulations, discussed discussion groups and seminar. So I think you will be able to keep in mind the approaches and which one is best approach you think you can think about and you can implement. The instructor should facilitate learner readiness for a group. That I discussed just few minutes back, that learner readiness is very important, because if the learner is ready for group work, then you cannot take them for a group work, because collaborative learning means group work. Individual is not important here, the group is important, whole group is important. So there must establish a balance between clarity of tasks and flexibility. What to be done, what is the task, and what kind of flexibility you are providing, that is important. Then monitoring group activities is very important. Monitoring group activities, and how you will monitor the group activities, you will have to be there, you will have to be present, and you will have to provide guidance constantly. You will have to send reassurance. If there is any problem, you will have to solve that one. You will have to solve, not direct solve, but you will have to guide them. You will have to provide support in whatever possible way. Provide sufficient time. It is very important as instructional strategies to improve the quality of group collaboration as an online classroom. So friends, you have seen that first I have discussed the concept, then I have talked about different strategies and online strategies, and now it is you can gain knowledge from other sources, you can think about it, you can answer the self-assessment questions, and you can implement what you have learned. So thank you.